don't wait and buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. Your consumer loan, your owner-occupied consumer loan is the best low-interest way to get into a property. Do that and repeat it as often as you can. If you start thinking of houses as illiquid savings accounts, it's a very healthy mindset.
Hi, this is Pam Flitton with Beyond the Listing, and I am here today with Caleb Christopher, who is a creative TC, a title company person that just started that. He has been on Pace Morby's Biggest Pockets book, Wealth Without Cash, and he has been in law enforcement and cybersecurity, and he has so much information today. I can't wait for you to tell me all about it and get to know you and our audience. So, Caleb, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, after about a 5.5-year stint in prison, aka law enforcement, I was a guard.
I love
I
it.
shifted out to IT and cybersecurity. So I've come from a cybersecurity, like a security background, physical and cyber and all that. And then I got into real estate and I loved it and I haven't looked back. So I've just got a risk management mindset when I came into real estate, and I did my first couple of deals and I'm like, wait, who's in charge of this stuff? People are just doing stuff without guidance. You got licensed people who may or may not be doing what they're supposed to do, title companies who are supposed to be in charge, but wait, they can't advocate for any side. So they just have to only follow instructions. Even if I'm an idiot, they won't tell me what to do better. I'm like,
Isn't that
golly.
amazing?
Yes. And amazing in a bad way. And I'm like, man. So I'm just all about be the change you want to see.
So, what got you into real estate?
I became an accidental landlord. You know what that is?
You bought a property and had to get it rented out?
I had to get it rented out. I couldn't sell it. So I had
Yeah.
a primary residence and I wanted to move, but it wouldn't sell. So I had to refi to get the cash for the down payment on my new home, and I had to rent the one out. But
Sure.
then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like, thank God I didn't sell that house. Now I've got an asset.
Yeah. Yeah. And, letting somebody else pay your mortgage for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts, that's the beginning of wealth for me,
Mhm.
is somebody paying down the debt while the equity goes up. And it's close. I've got to go visit them. They just moved out last week. It's on my schedule to visit either today or tomorrow and get a punch list of things to fix and get it back listed online for rent.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. How long ago did you buy that property?
2012. It was a HUD home. I live in Baser, Kansas, which is outside of Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And that house sold, I bought it for $67,000. I was the highest bidder. Now, it was bare subfloors.
Sure.
I don't know how it passed inspection for a first-time home buyer to buy it. It didn't have this, that, and the other, but I came in planning to fix it, and I got a USDA loan and 0% down. All of that went to flooring and paint, and we did a lot of sweat equity, but we got it for $67,000, and now it's valued around $250,000.
Now, was you able to get one of the loans that you were able to put the money to rehab it into the loan? Because I know they have those now.
No, we didn't do that. I've had a fantastic loan officer at the time, and he was helping me understand the difference between FHA and USDA and others. And so the USDA loan, this is a rural development. I was outside city limits or right outside the zone. And so it qualified for a 100% loan, which was fantastic because I was like, that's no down payment, which means I can put it all into hardwood flooring.
Yep.
2 thumbs up, And
Yeah.
he said, an FHA loan might cost a little bit less upfront, but the PMI never goes away. He said, this
Okay.
will do better based on what you've told, because I had a construction background. He's like, you're going to force a lot of equity and it's going to be worth more, and you're going to be paying to subsidize other people who are going to go into default for FHA rather than, be able to get out of that. And with the other loan, you'll be able to get out of that mortgage insurance.
So you rehabbed that. You got the loan. USDA's fantastic because you don't have no down payment, and I'm sure you You got in for it for very little money, and you were able to rehab it. HUD homes are fantastic. I mean, I've put clients into them before, and then a USDA loan, and they're fantastic. And so you're able to fix it up, get into it, live. How long did you live into that home?
Till 2019. So what, 7 years? Had a couple of
Yeah.
kids while I lived there.
Yeah. Okay. So then you couldn't get it sold. I'm sure it was during a turbulent time that homes weren't selling as well as they were.
Yeah, there
To
were a
get it.
couple of things about it too. It's like the driveway had cracks in it. I'm not going to spend $24,000 to improve the value of $3,000.
Yeah.
The offers didn't come where I wanted them to.
Sure. Sure.
So it just didn't sell. And we refinanced it. And hunky dory happy, here I am.
So it
The accidental
rented it
landlord.
out.
Yeah.
And so you've been renting it out since 2019, got it yourself, but so became a realtor, I guess, or
And
got
then,
into the realtor game.
yeah, I don't hold any licenses, so I'm a real estate investor now, I guess. But
Yeah.
I own several rentals, and that produces gross, not net. Gross, it produces a little over $1,000 a month. Because in
Okay.
2019, I got a 3 point something interest rate, and the payment was $1,050, still is basically, and now it rents for a little over $2,000. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's a great investment.
what do they say? Don't wait and buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. Here we are, 6 years later, 7 years later. That's when the cash really starts to flow.
Yeah.
Rental properties aren't a high upfront payment thing. So people who are thinking about investing, look at the long term. Do you like the area? Look at Google Maps. Are you buying in like the green or the brown right outside of a gray? Like when you zoom into the right level, Google Maps shows you like urban areas are gray and
Hmm.
undeveloped or, rural is green or brown. If you're buying right outside that gray area along a corridor of highway or something, you're probably in a good 7 to 10 year game. That's one of those little silly hacks. It's like, which way is development going? Buy in the path of progress, buy real
Sure.
estate and wait.
Well, and real estate is a long-term game anyways, because if you're going to buy it, you're always going to, you're going to make what, 2 to 5% each year. So your money's always going to grow. And the longer that you keep it, the more money that you're going to make. And it's eventually going to pay for itself, and it's going to just be bringing you money back in. So you take that money and you buy another one. You take that money and you buy another one. So um, definitely is a long-term investment.
Well, it's not the money from rental number one that I'm able to use to buy the next one, but yeah.
Hmm. Correct. So how did your background in law enforcement and cybersecurity help you in everything that you're doing now, or help you in with your rentals and such? Or are you able to take better, you think?
I'm a bit of a nerd, so I like spreadsheets and I built a underwriting calculator. I looked at a ton of different calculators. I didn't like any of them. They're all too complex with like purple neon and green and bright highlight yellow and red all over the place. And I
Hmm.
built a lot simpler one. So I volunteered to work under a wholesaler as a lead manager, specifically looking for SubTo and seller finance deals.
Hmm.
The wholesalers call and they send mailers and they make cash offers. But when a seller is interested in selling or has a good reason to, at least motivation, but they can't sell for the cash price or they won't, then the wholesaler would pass it to me and say, see if you can find a creative way to do this. So that's how I signed up with them. I was commission only. If I can get it under contract, I'll take 50% of the commission not commission, but a wholesale fee on this deal. And that's how I got into the creative finance world. Was I watched a bunch of stuff on YouTube, joined a mentorship, learned how to pitch it. But then when I got in and started doing the deals, I'm like, who's in charge of these things? Because I was told to make these promises, but now this guy is not keeping my promises. And that's not cool because my name's on the line here.
Right.
And the seller's credit's still on the line if I buy and leave his loan in place. I don't like this. So that's when I started Creative TC to help make those deals safe, legal, and ethical, because it's cool to get into these deals, but you also need to care about people that are involved.
Well, again, absolutely. I think we were talking offline earlier, and the way that you treat people and you take care of them, then they absolutely take care of you. So you had said just a minute ago that you got into it because you were kind of a nerd and you liked the numbers and the spreadsheets. and such. Where did you go from there? You said you started watching YouTube and just kind of went on from there. How did you get into the wholesalers?
So the mentorship I joined was SubTo. It's Pace Morby's group, and I'm in his book. He wrote a BiggerPockets book, Wealth Without Cash, and I'm one of the stories in there. It's either page 86 or 186, I forget. But my first deal was a creative deal as an investor, other than the accidental landlord first house. And I joined that mentorship and got exposed to a bunch of different wholesalers. And there's people with existing CRMs and operations and cold callers and all this other stuff. They're spending a bunch of money to get these leads and qualify the leads, but if they can't close them, then it's a waste. And so if I step in and say, hey, I'll manage these leads actively for you, I'll call the sellers and see if I can make what wasn't a deal into a deal. And if I can get it under contract, we both get paid. That's a pretty easy proposition for a wholesaler. So I just stepped into one of those operations and did that for 8 months.
That's great. So the 8 months that you were doing it, what do you think the conversion was for you? I'm going to assume that you're pretty great on the phone
Total
and that
crap.
you were able to No.
Total trash. I was
Okay.
terrible.
Yeah.
I'm very conversational, but that does not make an effective closer.
No. You don't
Right,
think
so-
so? I mean, because conversation is a huge part of it. And then if you have the numbers and you're able to explain it, then I would assume that's a huge part of it. Having the conversation and the backup, right? And then
Lots of people liked
people
me.
trust you, right?
Yeah, people like and trust me. They just
Yeah.
weren't willing to sell their house to me.
Well,
The thing is, I'm excited about ideas. I'm a visionary entrepreneur type. And so, Pam, I'm talking on the phone with you trying to buy your house. The cash offer didn't work. And I'm like, well, I could buy it this way and this way. And if you're lonely or bored, you'll talk to me for 2 hours and we'll go back and forth and talk about what could happen. I'm excited about what could happen. You're excited to be talking to somebody. There's never a deal even in the cards there. I
Sure.
found that out the hard way after dozens and dozens of hours wasted. Not that I don't care about people, because that's clearly not the issue, but I'm supposed to be closing deals and getting updates. And when you give too many things to somebody, it confuses them, and a confused mind says no. And so if I say I can buy it on a contract for deed, or I could lease it with an option to purchase, this may all be fascinating to you, but it doesn't mean you're going to move forward. Too many options signals instability, unreliability, unpredictability, and you're going to say no. What I learned after all of that, one of the things I learned was to focus on what you want and to aggressively disqualify. If I'm going for a creative finance deal, typically it's going to be seller finance, or I'm taking over your loan payments and you leave your loan in place as SubTo, which a lot of people are familiar with SubTo at this point, but just in case, if I'm buying your house, I get the deed, but your credit stays on the line. So if I don't make your payments, or the payments for you, your credit takes the hit, not mine. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be discussed. Remember, I started my company to help make these safe, legal, and ethical, because there's a lot of conversations that need to happen. But instead of talking through all of that up front, we work backwards from the end. And so I'm going to aggressively disqualify. Why doesn't the cash offer work? Well, my loan is more than your offer. Okay, that makes sense. So we just can't do that. Why don't you list this and see what price you can get? Well, I don't think it'll pass inspection, or I don't want people walking through the house, or I don't like realtors, or whatever the reason is. Sellers have whatever reason, but you got to pull it out of them.
Sure.
So if I get a no to the cash, if I get a no to the realtor or MLS, then I'm going to say, why don't you just keep it and rent it out? A renter can make your payments for you. What's the problem with that? You don't want to fix toilets? And I usually plant that little seed, and they're like, maintenance? No, I don't want renters. I've heard horror stories about renters. So if I can get the seller to disqualify cash, realtor, and keeping it, guess what's left? Only creative. So if you actually want to sell or need to sell, and you're disqualifying cash, realtor, and keeping it, then all I can do is say, well, then here's how I can help you. I can take over your payments. How about that? I'll make the house payments for you. I run rental properties, so I'll turn it into a rental, or I flip property, so I'll make your payments while I fix it up, and then I'll sell it on the market. These pitches all work.
Right.
That's what I learned, is rather than pitching potential solutions, have them rule out everything that won't work, and then I say, here's how I can do it. And if it's a solution to their problem, we have a deal on our hands.
Will most of their loans let you do that?
No. Not officially, never in writing.
Never in writing. I was going to say, how do you work around that?
The due on sale clause is what you're referring to.
Yes.
If you sold me your house, there's clause 16, 17, or 18. It's called the due on sale clause. And it says that if you, the borrower and owner of the property, transfer some or all of the property to anyone else, that they can accelerate the loan, which is, hey, if you sell, basically, we can just call it due, meaning you have to pay us off in 30 days. It's there. You can't take it out of the contract. You already signed that as the borrower if I was buying your house. So when I go to buy your house, I have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of that. We have to make acknowledgments between us. I have to agree, legally, formally agree to make payments for you. You have to acknowledge that if I don't make payments, it hurts your credit, that it could result in a foreclosure, that the due on sale clause exists. Like, why would anyone ever sell their house sub-2? This is crazy talk, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, if you're behind on payments or you've got to move and I've built good rapport and you can trust me, then maybe it seems a lot more practical because a lot of people have low or no equity, especially now as prices are compressing. If you bought fairly high with a really low down payment and prices compress, you've got zero or negative equity. And then to sell your house, how much would it cost me to sell a $500,000 house with a realtor?
Between 6 and 8% with all the costs.
Golly.
It could be between
Right.
6 and 8%.
On the seller side. And so if I've got no equity and I have no cash, that's not even an option. And some handsome guy comes by and says, look, I'll make your payments for you and I'll turn it into a rental. You're like, man, he's pretty suave. Maybe I will let him take over my payments.
Maybe I will. Doesn't sound like a bad idea. What do I have to lose?
Well, you've got a fair amount to lose, but you're not losing the cash up front.
Sure.
I mean, 6% of a $500,000 house. So $30,000. And not only are you not paying $30,000 to sell, I might offer you $5,000 or $10,000 cash to help you move. My plan is to hold that 4% interest loan that you've got, 5% or under ideally, for the next 25 to 30 years. I'm not looking to refi. I'm looking for low interest debt. Your low interest loan is an asset that I'm willing to pay for. So maybe I'll give you 5 or 10K, which means not only are you not paying 30,000, but you're also getting an extra 5 or 10 on top. That's a $35,000 to $40,000 swing between selling on the MLS and selling to me.
Yeah. And so this loan is being paid off. It's staying in their name. I guess it's building their equity and it's building
not their equity,
credit.
but their credit. Yeah.
Credit. Yeah. It's building their credit and, well, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, that's
it's not for everybody. It's not for every circumstance. It should be entered into with lots of forethought and discussion and not lightly, but it is a really good solution for the right people. And so I run a company that does that nationwide. And as I did those, guess who became the expert? So because I'm the expert, I'm constantly correcting title companies on how to do these deals the right way, how to document them, how to write them up, how to close them. And so hence the next step for me was to build a title company. And that's where I'm at today.
When we were talking earlier, you said, a title company is a impartial third party, and they are. Because they cannot, they're not for the real estate. They are just there to facilitate the real estate transaction, right? And they're not there for the realtors, nor are they there for the buyer or seller. And it absolutely discusses that in the contract that they are just there to facilitate, which is amazing. And I guess that's why, you have your buyer's agent and your seller's agent there to represent each and every one. But it would be so much nicer if you were being represented by everybody. So I like the idea that you took this into your own hands and created this creative TC title company. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and particularly, so at my first company, it was the consulting firm to help the creative deals. That's all we do is touch creative deals. And one of our core values is advocate for the client. So if you're the person that brings me the deal, you're the one that gets first preference on any news updates, any strategy updates That said, my commitment is to make the transaction safe, legal, and ethical. And so if what you're doing pushes the boundaries of that, I'm going to talk to you first and help you restructure if necessary. But also, I'll cancel you as a client if we can't push to something that I feel is safe, legal, or ethical. I'm very happy to do that. On the title company side, I couldn't preserve that value. I can't advocate for anybody. I can advocate for a fair transaction or a safe, legal, and ethical transaction, but so what we switched it to is care. And the way I explain this to my team is one of our core values is care. Deals involve real people, so act accordingly. And there's a soft limit to what you can and can't say, but without taking sides, we can also encourage deals to be safe, legal, and ethical through that value.
And so you ensure clarity and confidence throughout the transaction.
Yep. And so I've ended up putting it in my scope of work when you engage a title company. This is silly to me, by the way. Sometimes I go to a title company and close, and the first time I see my instructions to them, the closing instructions, is at closing. They've conducted the entire transaction, and then they make me sign closing instructions as a closing document, which tells them how to act throughout the whole transaction. I'm like, what is this? Who thought this up? This is just CYA. You do not care about me. You care about covering your own butt. So
Yeah.
we've got it on the front end as a scope of work. This is what we do. This is what we require of you and what you're going to end up requiring of us, or our code of ethics and conduct. And so when somebody signs on with us, when they bring us a deal, they're agreeing to that on the front end. So there's a
That's
mutual understanding.
That's awesome. Well, I think everybody should be totally upfront at the beginning. This is the way we should all work, right? Lay your hands. This is the way it is, right? Because I'll tell you right at the beginning when I work with somebody, like, I am going to be your best friend for the next 3 to 4 months, and then I will just be your occasional friend for the rest of your life. And you'll never
There you
get rid
go.
of me,
There
but
you go.
I'm going to be your best friend for the next 3 to 4 months. Yeah, absolutely. So communication will always be a key thing with us. So where do you see the biggest opportunities right now?
For who? For home buyers, for investors, agents?
Let's start with home buyers right now.
Oh, actually, I'm going to start with sales reps. If you're in the
Okay.
Denver area, the best future is working with me. I'm looking for a full-time sales rep in the Denver area for my title company. That's where I predict the best future is.
Well, that's awesome. So if people want to move to the Denver area, they can call you.
That's right.
Yes. Or they're in the Denver area.
So you said home buyers?
Yeah, let's start with home buyers. Where do you see the biggest opportunities right now?
Kind of like I talked about earlier, if you're willing to buy in the green or brown, literally on Google Maps, it's so silly. You turn off satellite view and you find an interstate corridor between two gray spots and buy somewhere along that line, you're going to be able to sell your house for, I don't know, 25 to 50% more than you paid for it in the next 7 to 10 years. That's
Sure.
a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
Because the path of progress usually connects the gray, which are
Okay.
major metropolitan areas. That's one of the great things. And then if you can't qualify for a loan right now, or such as if you own a business and you don't have W-2 income to qualify for a traditional loan, then looking to these wholesalers who are doing creative finance deals, they are finding sellers. So kind of like I talked with you earlier, if I was buying your house, one of the exit strategies for me as an investor is to take over your payments and stand in as the guarantor. Like, I'm going to make payments on your loan. But I can turn around and find a family that owns their own business and say, would you like to buy this house? Because I'll give you terms that the bank won't. I'll charge you 8% interest. They'll happily pay it because they're tired of renting and they want their own backyard, dang it. And so
Sure.
one of the opportunities is to connect. If you can't seem to buy a house with a regular bank loan, get on a wholesalers list. And for agents, get connected with wholesalers who are doing these creative deals, because you have families who just won't pass qualification for traditional loans. However, these investors are finding deals that they can sell or finance to your buyers.
So then I would assume that you would think the opportunities that agents that are looking for is getting connected with wholesalers.
Yeah, I think there's there's animosity between wholesalers and agents. Very justified, right? I
Sure.
like what I do. I don't like what you do. You like what you do. You don't like what I do. Whatever. Wholesalers, there's unprofessional people on both sides of the line. You got to get over that, right? Find the right people for you. Find a way to work together to build a solid reputation. You don't have to tie your boats together or base your reputation on them. But there are people who are really good at finding decent deals. And if you're as you're an agent and you're good at finding potential buyers,
Mhm.
and if they won't qualify for a regular loan, not only is it kind of your duty to help them find these opportunities, but there's money in it. So go build relationships. Go to investor meetups and say, I'm typically a buyer's agent and I do X, Y, and Z. Or if you're a seller's agent, connect with some wholesalers who can do creative finance. And when a house can't sell, because it happens,
Sure.
call up your wholesaler buddy and say, hey, Jim, this one's not selling. What do you think would make the difference? It's a big opportunity.
Very clever ideals, Caleb. And so, beyond buyers and sellers and agents, what about the industry in whole? Where do you see it going next?
I think there's a lot of equity people are sitting on from the COVID time frame.
Sure.
Bought, prices were going up, but they kept going up after you bought. Interest rates were low for a while. And so people are sitting on anywhere from 40 to 100 and $200,000 worth of equity in their homes. They're also carrying $27,000 credit card bills.
Hmm.
So I think HELOCs are going to be bigger as time goes on for the next year. I think refis are starting to come up. I mean, the average refi time frame is 5 to 7 years. Interest rates are high, so maybe it goes 6 to 9. But you've got a bunch of equity. You've got to pay off some credit cards. You want to buy a boat. You want to buy another car, whatever that is. Americans do that stuff. So I think refis are on the horizon. There's a big wave of them. Unless interest rates come down, then a bunch of people are going to be moving and the market's going to go absolutely insane again.
I think we're posed. I think we're posed for it. Myself, honestly.
The interest rates and the craziness.
Well, my first home I bought at 9%. And then, I believe, after that I refied until it got down lower. And then, of course, my second and third homes were at 6%. So this interest rate now is kind of an for me it's an average interest rate. When we seen, I've had a 2 and a 3% interest rate, I was like, that's amazing.
If you have a low interest rate like that, 3%, 2%, don't sell the property traditionally. Find a way to, because here's the thing. If I'm paying 2.5% to a bank, let's do easier math. If I'm paying 2% to a bank, let's call it a VA
Hmm.
loan,
Yeah.
and I can sell or finance this property to somebody else at 8% interest, how much do I keep every month?
Mm-hmm.
The 6% is mine. I only
Yeah.
owe the bank the 2%. So the payment goes from $2,700 a month up to $3,800 a month. I still got to pay the 27 on the underside, but I get to keep the difference. That's what people are doing. They're leveraging their low interest debt into income. More than a rental property, you're selling it to someone and you've got pretty fantastic terms to be earning $800 to $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
huge.
yeah. Well, this house right here will never be sold
There you go.
because of that.
But
Real
you
estate
shouldn't
is
feel
always,
trapped, is my point. You don't have to feel trapped in the house. You can still do something with it. Don't let go of that loan, though,
yeah,
is what I'm
correct.
saying. You can leverage that.
Yeah.
And if you or anyone ever has a question about that, I've got free 15-minute chats. Remember, I want to be safe, legal, and ethical. And so I figured I would just host free 15-minute chats for anyone anytime at Creative TC.
I love
Just
that.
what can I do here?
So, what advice would you give entrepreneurs that are trying to build something sustainable? I mean, if they were trying to get into your business right now, what kind of advice would you give them?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know where I would start if I had to start right now.
Yeah,
It's
if
hard
you
to go
had to
back to
start over,
zero.
if you were still doing, would you say you were a prison guard? And you were jumping over, what advice would you give you?
As a real estate investor, I would have pushed me to find a way to buy a new house every year or 2 years, right? And just start building a rental portfolio as a regular Joe with a full-time W-2. Eat ramen, do whatever you got to do there, and start building wealth by getting houses and turning them into rentals. Your consumer loan, your owner-occupied consumer loan is the best low-interest way to get into a property. Do that and repeat it as often as you can until you're full up on those. And again, it goes back to buy real estate and wait. Even if you don't do anything else, as long as you maintain, you don't even have to make money on rentals the whole time. But if it breaks even and debt pays down, you've got a bunch of equity. From a cash perspective, it breaks even maybe, but on the backside, you've got a bunch of equity in the property. And if you start thinking of houses as illiquid savings accounts, it's a very healthy mindset.
So your 20, 30-year-old self, you would say, start buying a new home every year.
Don't buy your perfect home until it's like your 9th or 10th one. Get a new home, or get a new home, move into it like you got to. And then after a year, you can move out and get another one and keep your
Yeah.
loan in place. Do it
That's
and do it
awesome.
again and do it again.
And you use a terrific real estate agent like me, Austin, Texas. There you go. Just so you know, Caleb, Austin. But, you are looking for somebody to work for you in
Denver.
Denver. I lived there for a couple of years myself.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
just hired a full-time head of marketing. She lived in Denver for 10 years and then she moved to South Africa and wants remote work. And I'm like, come on in. Pretty
Wow.
fantastic.
That's amazing. I worked for Continental Divide Insurance when I lived there. Warren Buffett. So terrific. Lived in Aurora.
I was just there.
Great camping. Man, I loved camping in Denver. Just so you know. So, what excites you most about creative finance in real estate investing?
Creative finance allows me to actually help people.
Yeah.
Somebody's got a situation and none of the regular stuff works to solve it. I get to bring creative solutions. I don't just think outside the box. I live outside the box. So it's great. It's really engaging for me to help somebody to come up with a solution that's not black and white, already well-defined on paper. Let me hear your story. Let me figure it out and I'll build a solution for you. I love that about creative finance.
I love the thought that you've done this and it's not anything that you wouldn't do yourself. So
Yeah.
I love that.
I just talked to a real estate investor who she did that thing where she got loan after loan after loan, moved into a house, moved to the next one. And now she feels she's a little trapped. And I said, well, why not sell one on a wrap? You've got a great interest rate. You've owned it for 5 years. I can guarantee you'll have cash flow. You don't have maintenance when you sell a house like a rental.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay taxes and insurance on a house like a rental when you sell it. The owner, the person who bought it from you on seller finance, has to pay those things. And so your cash flow on a wraparound mortgage is pure cash flow. She said, what? I said, you've never heard of a wraparound mortgage? Let me sketch it out for you. I told the bartender, grab one for her, put it on my tab, and then I just started drawing a scenario. I said, what's the house worth? She's like, $290. What's your interest rate? 3.6%. Oh, fantastic. What's your monthly payment? Whatever it was. I think it was like $2,200 a month or something like that. And I said, how much is tax and insurance? Well, we figured it was $350. So subtract that from the PITI payment every month. And we're looking at $1,750. Yeah, no, $1,850, I think, whatever it is. I'm like, all right, so your principal and interest is $1,850 every month. You could sell this thing at 8% interest. I ran quick math. It's like $800 a month in profit that she would have if she sold it. And I'm like, and you can get 10 to 15% easily. So it's rented for what's the monthly payment right now. And I'm like, you're not making any cash flow. You're only paying down the debt. What could happen is you get $30,000 as a 10% down payment and then finance the rest at 8% interest and you keep the difference. And you're still making $600 to $800 a month on top. So not only are you getting $30,000 next month, but on top of that, you're getting $600 to $800 a month for the life of the loan. That's pretty attractive, even for an investor who did it right, but wants more cash flow.
Interesting. Very interesting. So you have to have an attorney take a look at that, though, correct? Because
you don't have to. I recommend it. I'm not an attorney. Yes. I'm not a licensed anything. But I see and touch.
Being licensed, you have to have an attorney take a look at that. So,
yeah. I like to just be some guy. I don't have a license. You can't threaten me with anything except jail time.
Just some guy. You don't have to. Being licensed, you have to have an attorney take
I need
a
a
look
badge
at
that says just some guy.
I'll get you one of those.
There you go.
Being licensed, you have to have an attorney take a look at those things. So we can't do those. But fantastic. So as we're coming to a close here, I like a lot of the things that you have to say. I love that you think that people should be buying a home every year using a licensed real estate agent right here to help grow their investments and to help increase their leverage and their money-making potential.
I mean, I would sign up with you and just tell you, I need to buy a house every year or so, maybe 1 to 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm flexible on that, but I know my wealth building strategy is to buy a house and rent out the old one. So help me. Here's my buy box, essentially. I would tell you I'm going to have another kid in the next year. So maybe I'll be looking for a 4.3, 4.2, something like that. So if you find a deal on a 4.3, 4.2, let me know. And I'd be interested in making an offer. And then just have that as a standing. And you call me anytime you see something that fits, and you feel me out, I feel you out, and we find a way to do a deal.
I love that.
I don't have time to look all day, every day for the right deal, but you do.
That's what where we come in. And most agents really do care about what they do and do care about what their clients want. So if we were going to find you, Caleb, I know there are several different ways. You got a website, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. What's the best way to find you?
CalebChristopher.io.
And then
it'll show you the businesses I own, the social media pages. You can find everything from right there. CalebChristopher.io.
CalebChristopher.io. You got a website, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And you show people what to do, how you do it, and what you do. And you will give them a free 15-minute talk.
That's right. Particularly for creative finance. I want to make that safe, legal, and ethical.
I love that. So is there anything that you have to say as we leave?
I would just like to thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. Good getting to know you, and I appreciate what you do for people.
Yeah. I appreciate it. You got a lot of good stuff going on, and I like the way you approach it. You seem like you got a good, caring spirit about you, and like you take care of people.
Thank you.
There's always more happening beyond the listing. Stick around and catch the next episode for real talk and insights that help you move smarter and farther in real estate.